In the middle of a major rift that's been formed between the golf world, players find themselves just 9 months away from the next installment of the Ryder Cup. Currently, everyone's concerned with one thing only: the eligibility of the LIV players. Jon Rahm, one of the top players confirmed for the Ryder Cup, has recently shared his thoughts on the matter. Let's look at what the player had to say. First off, what does Rahm think of the entire situation? Rahm shared his opinion on the confusion as a confirmed member competitor in the Ryder Cup during the Tournament of Champions, where he began his 2023 campaign. According to him, whichever way the organizations go, the choice will be a tough call, but as all tough calls go, it has to be made. Being a decorated player himself, the decision is out of his hands, and all he can do is hope that the PGA of America and European Tour both come to a unanimous one after consulting each other. If one allows LIV players and the other doesn't, it could deepen the troubles that have already plagued the golf world. What's more, Rahm believes that in case either of them doesn't allow LIV players to participate in the Ryder Cup, it may just end up giving younger players a chance to show the community what they've got. After all, it's always refreshing to see new talent, and giving an opportunity to younger players is essential for the sport's growth as well. He even recalled last year's event, which had seen a younger US team than usual, as a pleasant experience that could happen again. What we're gathering from this is that Rahm himself doesn't have a staunch stance on whether the LIV golfers should be a part of the tournament or not. Rather, he's trying to look at the situation practically by assessing the safest scenario and possible outcomes. What's more, Rahm went over the likability of certain players' appearances in the competition. Well before September rolls around, the European and US teams will have to make a decision about the LIV players, as the current situation has more of a will they won't they nature, while the fans and players themselves want to know what the fate of these golfers will be. Though the situation has become extremely messy over the past few months, especially ever since the President's Cup, the possible team selections for the Ryder Cup are still up for debate. When it comes to the top 12 European players, only Paul Casey is a LIV player. And hey, we're not forgetting Sergio Garcia and Lee Westwood, they're just not yet in the top 12. On the American side, Dustin Johnson's the only one in the top 12, while the other LIV players aren't even in the top 20. The PGA of America isn't going to suffer from losing LIV players, but the European Tour definitely will, and so the decision also rests with them. But if they end up favoring them, it'll feel dishonest for the PGA to follow suit, given they've kept players from playing on their tour. At the same time, this won't make much of a difference if we're looking at the team's construction, but Rahm wants Garcia to be there, and his say does hold a lot of weight on the European side. One thing's for sure, whichever direction this decision takes will set the tone for the rest of the season's tournaments as well. Moving on to 9 LIV Golf rebels who won't be appearing at the 2023 Ryder Cup. The formation of the LIV Golf Series has had an undeniable effect on the world of golf, changing the entire landscape of the PGA Tour and other tournaments. The changes have been concerning, considering a huge number of the sport's biggest names have switched over to the Saudi-backed series, a move old-timers claim disloyal. The American-based circuit and its European sister, the DP World Tour, have found themselves locked in a legal battle with LIV and a group of players over their playing rights. From Ryder Cup's all-time leading point scorer or a 4-time major champion, these 9 players will most probably be missing out on the event when it takes place in Rome in September. First off, we've got the unofficial face of the Ryder Cup. Spanish star Sergio Garcia has been an essential part of the tournament's success for the past 2 decades. This itself is seen as a great accomplishment in the world of golf, given that there aren't many European players who could get to this point. Unfortunately, it seems like Garcia's impressive run with the Cup might be ending this year, as chances are that he'll be ending his relationship with the DP World Tour. The European team selection will rest partially on the players who are leading the way in the Wentworth-based circuit's points list and the world rankings. Since Garcia's no longer playing DP World Tour golf and he hasn't gathered any world rankings on the breakaway circuit, his only chances of entering the Ryder Cup rest in Luke Donald's hands as the captain. But it's most likely that the soured relationship with the European golf bosses will lead him away from being in Donald's good graces. Next up, Ian Poulter isn't too far behind. Ian the Postman Poulter has long been regarded as the player who's delivered time and time again for Europe in the Ryder Cup. After having made a seemingly lifelong mark on the tournament, he's got himself in a tight spot this season. Poulter's current status is a lot like what we've discussed about Garcia. Ever since breaking away from the leading powers of European golf to switch over to LIV, he's found himself at a disadvantage with his previous bosses. This was further aggravated by the lawsuit that he filed against the DP World Tour in regard to a circuit ban. But the final nail in this coffin is how he'd been elected for the last 4 installments of the Ryder Cup as a captain's pick, but now that won't be possible. Now for another one of Europe's OG players, Lee Westwood. Westwood is the last of the original trio of players who've held up the mantle of European golf since the early days. Once the world's #1, he's been present in the European setup since his debut in 1997, which feels like forever. Although he's been around around for that long time, the recent switch over to LIV has left him in the same awkward position as his fellow golfers Garcia and Poulter when it comes to his chances of competing in Rome in 2023. Coming up, we've got Paul Casey. One man that will surely be seen in 2023 is Paul Casey. Even though he just turned 45 this summer, Casey has done some of his best work in his most recent years. An example of this can be seen in the 2021 Ryder Cup, where he seamlessly made his way into the team due to his position on the world points list. That being said, the coming year could be a difficult experience for Casey, as he'll be competing in the LIV Series, and that too without his world ranking points at his side. Next up, Bernd Wiesberger can kiss the 2023 Ryder Cup goodbye. Another player who, although he was in the 2021 European quota, will be struggling to keep his spot in Rome is Bernd Wiesberger. He debuted into Padraig Harrington's team as a rookie after 2 years of very skilled playing on the DP World Tour, but moving to LIV Golf means that he'll no longer be considered for Europe's 2023 team selection. Let's look at Team USA's LIV Rebels, starting with Dustin Johnson. LIV's first pick and team champion was none other than Dustin Johnson, one of the biggest names to join the entire series. He's earned a name for himself in American golf and has made himself a permanent presence in the golf world. Of course, that was until now. His shift to LIV might have earned him a big buck, but in the process, he lost his spot on the world rankings. Back when he was still at the top as one of the best players on the planet, and a world #1 as well, he competed in 5 of the last 6 Ryder Cups. His last appearance was his best one yet, as he led Team USA to a victory last September. But none of these accolades matter in the face of his recent disloyal shift to LIV, along with fellow Rebels who have been suspended from the PGA Tour. Just like the players we've discussed before, he'll probably suffer the consequences and lose his spot in the upcoming Ryder Cup. Up next, Brooks Koepka's Ryder Cup wins might be short-lived. Brooks Koepka played an imperative role in helping Team USA achieve their record-breaking win against their European rivals in the Ryder Cup 2021. Similar to Johnson, Koepka has declared himself as one of the world's best in the last few years of golf, making him an easy win from the Ryder Cup team. That celebrity status might be short-lived though, given that much like Johnson, he also signed himself into LIV Golf earlier in the year. What's more, Bryson DeChambeau's alliance with Koepka might not succeed in 2023. One of the headlines of the 2021 event was also the development of the relationship between Koepka and one of his supposed biggest rivals, Bryson DeChambeau. The two had seemingly put an end to what may be golf's most famous feud, for the greater purpose of helping Team USA to win the Ryder Cup. That being said, this allegiance could also have been for the sake of that event only, due to DeChambeau being another golf superstar who may not get selected due to his ties with LIV. Finally, Patrick Reed's competitive energy will be missed in the upcoming Ryder Cup. The American team's resident anti-hero, Patrick Reed, has always been the European crowd's worst nightmare. He's earned this status after riling up the crowd during tournaments while he aces the game. After his switch to LIV Golf and subsequent suspension from PGA Tour, Reed will probably have to give his bad boy role up to someone else. Well, it seems like we're in the next chapter of this civil war, and once again, the golf world has to pick sides. And that's all for this video, guys. Do you think LIV Golf players should be allowed to play in the upcoming Ryder Cup? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.